The crisp morning air hung heavy with silence as she made her way down the familiar forest trail. A seasoned veteran, she was used to solitude, to the rhythm of her own footsteps on the dirt path. But today, the woods felt different, tense, waiting. Then she heard it. A low, dragging sound up ahead, like something heavy being pulled through underbrush. She slowed her pace, instincts kicking in. That's when she saw the wolf. Not trotting or hunting, but laboring under the weight of an oversized duffel bag, its powerful shoulders straining with each step. The sight was so unnatural it made her skin prickle. Wolves don't carry bags. They don't drag human things through the wilderness like some kind of four-legged thief. The veteran crouched behind a tree, watching as the massive canine paused to catch its breath. The bag left deep grooves in the soft earth, clearly packed with something substantial. Her military training had taught her to assess threats quickly, but this? This defied all logic. Was it stolen goods? Evidence of some crime? The wolf's behavior was all wrong too. No aggression, just single-minded determination to move that mysterious cargo. Then came the metallic clink. Faint but unmistakable. The sound of something man-made shifting inside that worn canvas bag. The wolf's ears pricked up at the noise, casting nervous glances around the clearing before continuing its strange mission. That's when she noticed the dark stains near the bag's zipper. Mud. Or something else entirely. Her breath caught as the wolf suddenly stopped, nostrils flaring. It had caught her scent. For one heart-stopping moment, those golden eyes locked onto hers through the foliage. But instead of attacking or fleeing, the animal did something even more unsettling. It deliberately nudged the bag toward her with its snout before backing away, as if offering it. The veteran's pulse hammered in her throat. Every survival instinct screamed at her to leave, to report this to authorities. But the mystery was too compelling. What could possibly make a wild wolf behave this way? And more importantly, what was in that damned bag? She took one cautious step forward. Then another. The wolf watched but didn't approach, its tail low and still. 10 feet away now, she could see the bag's frayed edges, the way one corner bulged unnaturally. 5 feet. The coppery tang of blood mixed with damp earth filled her nostrils. 3 feet. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the zipper. And that's when the contents shifted again with a wet, heavy sound that turned her stomach. Whatever was inside wasn't just objects. It was something alive. Or at least it had been. The wolf let out a soft whine, almost pleading, as she finally grasped the zipper pull. This wasn't random animal behavior. This was a message. A delivery. And as the veteran steeled herself to open the bag, she realized with dawning horror that she might be the first person to see something no one was ever meant to find. Her fingers closed around the cold metal zipper pull, the wolf's intense gaze burning into her. The bag's fabric felt stiff with dried mud, and something else. Something that made her fingertips stick slightly when she pulled them away. That coppery smell grew stronger now, mixing with the scent of damp earth and wet fur. The zipper stuck at first, resisting. Then, with a rough jerk, it gave way, the sound impossibly loud in the silent woods. The opening gaped just an inch, enough for a sliver of darkness to peer back at her. A sudden movement inside. She recoiled, heart slamming against her ribs. The wolf let out a low, rumbling noise, not quite a growl, more like anticipation. Leaning in again, she forced herself to widen the opening. The fabric fell away to reveal. Not what she expected. Not even close. Because nestled among torn clothing and broken branches wasn't some animal carcass. Wasn't stolen goods or dumped trash. It was smaller. More deliberate. Wrapped in blood-stained plastic, the shape unmistakable even through the grime. A hand. Human fingers curled slightly, as if frozen mid-reach. The veteran's breath came in short, sharp bursts now. This wasn't just some random find. This was placed here. Hidden. And the wolf had been trying to get it out. But why? Her mind raced through possibilities. A hiker lost in the woods? Some poor soul caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? But no. The plastic wrapping was too neat. Too intentional. This wasn't an accident. This was evidence. The wolf took a step closer, its nose twitching. She braced for attack, for flight, but instead, it simply nudged the bag toward her again with its muzzle. Almost helpful. That's when she noticed the second bundle deeper in the bag. And the third. Each carefully wrapped. Each about the same size. Her stomach turned. A twig snapped somewhere in the trees behind her. The wolf's head whipped around, ears flattening. A low growl rumbled in its chest, the first truly aggressive sound she'd heard from it. Someone else was here. The veteran's training kicked in. She scanned the tree line, searching for movement. The wolf's sudden tension told her everything she needed to know. Whoever was coming wasn't friendly. And they were getting closer. She had seconds to decide, run and leave the evidence, or take it and risk being caught with whatever nightmare this was. The wolf made the choice for her. With a sudden snarl, it lunged past her toward the trees, buying her time. The bag was too heavy to carry, but she could take proof. Her fingers closed around one of the smaller bundles. Just as a voice cut through the woods. "Hey, you. Step away from that. Not a hiker. Not a ranger." The tone was all wrong. Too sharp, too commanding. Too panicked. The wolf's snarls turned frenzied. She heard scuffling, a curse, then the unmistakable sound of a gun's safety clicking off. No time left. She stuffed the small bundle into her jacket pocket just as a figure burst into the clearing. The wolf went silent. The woods went still. And the man now pointing a gun at her didn't look like he was there to help. "Hands where I can see them," he barked, eyes darting between her and the open bag. His grip on the weapon was practiced, professional. But the slight tremor in his voice, that was pure fear. And that scared her more than anything else. Because whatever was in that bag wasn't just evidence. It was important enough to kill for. And now she was holding part of it. The gun barrel stared at her with a cold, unblinking eye. Sweat trickled down her back despite the morning chill. That small, terrible bundle in her jacket pocket suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. "Slowly," the man ordered, his voice tight. "Hands up. Now." She raised her arms, calculating. Military training had taught her how to read threats, the way his finger hovered near the trigger, how his weight shifted nervously. This wasn't some hardened killer. He was scared. Desperate. A rustle in the bushes. The wolf wasn't gone after all. The man's eyes flickered toward the sound for just a second, but that was all she needed. Her boot slammed down on the open duffel bag, sending a spray of dirt into his face. As he flinched, she dove sideways behind a thick oak. A gunshot cracked through the trees, splintering bark where her head had been. "Stupid bitch," he screamed. "You don't know what you're messing with." Another shot. Closer this time. She could hear him thrashing through the undergrowth, getting nearer. The wolf's snarls echoed from somewhere to her left, a distraction she couldn't afford to waste. Her fingers closed around a fallen branch, solid, heavy. Not much against a gun, but better than nothing. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, labored breathing just on the other side of the tree. She could almost feel the heat of his body through the rough bark. One step. Two. He was circling. The branch trembled in her hands. A shadow fell across the leaves in front of her. She swung with every ounce of strength, wood connecting with a sickening crack against his kneecap. His scream shattered the forest calm as he crumpled, the gun spinning away into the brush. She didn't wait to see him hit the ground. Running. Branches whipped at her face as she crashed through the woods, no longer caring about noise. That bundle bounced against her ribs with every stride, a grim reminder of what she carried. Behind her, the man's curses faded, but she knew better than to slow down. There would be others. People who left wrapped bundles in the woods didn't work alone. The wolf kept pace with her, a gray shadow darting between trees. Almost like it was guiding her. A clearing opened ahead, the trailhead parking lot. Her truck sat alone, sunlight glinting off the windshield like a beacon. Keys. She fumbled in her pocket, fingers brushing against the plastic-wrapped horror before finding cold metal. The engine roared to life just as movement flashed in her rearview mirror. Not just the man she'd left behind now. Two more figures emerged from the tree line, one holding something long and dark. A rifle. Tires screeched as she slammed the truck into reverse, then forward. A bullet pinged off the tailgate. Another shattered the side mirror. But then she was on the road, the forest shrinking in her mirrors. Safe. For now. The wolf stood at the edge of the parking lot, watching her go. As she rounded the bend, it threw back its head and howled, a sound that raised the hair on her arms even through the closed windows. That's when the bundle in her pocket moved. Just slightly. Almost imperceptibly. But definitely, undeniably, it moved. The steering wheel nearly slipped from her sweat-slicked hands when she felt it, that subtle shift against her ribs. Her foot instinctively jammed the brake pedal, sending the truck skidding to a stop on the deserted forest road. For 3 heartbeats, she sat perfectly still. Then it happened again. A slight pulsing pressure against her chest where the plastic-wrapped bundle rested in her jacket pocket. Not her imagination. Not the vibration of the truck. Something inside that terrible package was alive. Her hands shook as she reached inside, pulling out the small bundle with 2 fingers like it might bite her. The plastic was cold and slightly tacky, the dark stains now clearly visible in the daylight. She held it up to the windshield, squinting. A tiny fist pressed against the plastic from inside. Human. Impossibly small. Oh God. The words escaped in a choked whisper. Her military training hadn't prepared her for this. Nothing could. The plastic shifted again as whoever, was inside squirmed weakly. She spotted a corner of the wrapping coming loose, a tiny slit where the wolf's teeth must have torn it. Without thinking, she picked at the edge with her fingernails. The plastic peeled back with a sickening stickiness to reveal a tiny foot, pale, perfect, and undeniably human. Her throat closed. This wasn't just evidence. This was a baby, wrapped like garbage, left in the woods. The child's chest rose and fell in shallow, rapid breaths. Alive, but barely. She could see blue veins beneath paper-thin skin, the little body shockingly cold to the touch. Tires screeched in the distance. She snapped her head up to see a black SUV rounding the bend behind her. No plates. Tinted windows. They'd found her. The baby made a soft mewling sound as she jammed the truck into gear. The SUV accelerated, closing the distance fast. She stomped on the gas, her mind racing faster than the engine. Hospital. She needed to get to a hospital. But that was 30 minutes away on winding mountain roads. And whatever was in those other bundles back in the woods. Her stomach twisted. The SUV rammed her bumper with a metallic crunch. The baby whimpered as she fought to keep the truck on the road. Another impact sent her skidding toward the shoulder, tires spitting gravel. Think. She grabbed her phone one-handed, thumbing 911. The SUV pulled alongside, the passenger window rolling down to reveal a shotgun barrel. She ducked instinctively as the blast shattered her window, spraying glass across the dashboard. The phone flew from her hand, skittering under the pedals. No help coming. Nowhere to run. The baby's weak cries cut through the chaos, each one like a knife to her chest. She'd survived war zones, firefights, IEDs, but this tiny, fragile life depending on her? This was different. The SUV revved for another sideswipe when suddenly, a gray blur launched from the tree-lean. The wolf. It hit the SUV's hood with terrifying force, claws screeching across metal. The driver swerved violently as those powerful jaws clamped onto the windshield wiper, shaking its massive head like a ragdoll. The distraction lasted only seconds, but it was enough. She spotted the turnoff ahead, a narrow Forest Service road barely visible through the trees. Without signaling, she yanked the wheel hard right, the truck lurching onto the dirt path just as the SUV overshot. Branches scraped the roof as she plunged deeper into the woods, the truck bouncing violently over ruts. The baby's cries grew weaker. In the rearview mirror, headlights appeared. They'd found the turn. Then the wolf was there again, streaking across the road in front of her before disappearing into the brush. Almost like it was showing the way. She followed. The path grew narrower, branches slapping the windshield. The truck bottomed out in a deep rut, the undercarriage shrieking in protest. Still she pushed forward, the baby's shallow breaths her only compass. The trees suddenly opened into a small clearing, and there it was. An abandoned ranger station. Windows boarded. Roof sagging. But shelter. She killed the engine and grabbed the baby just as the SUV's engine roared in the distance. They'd be here in minutes. The wolf stood at the station's broken steps, watching her with those impossible golden eyes. As she sprinted toward the building, it turned and vanished into the woods, its job done. The door gave way with a kick. Inside, dust swirled in shafts of light from holes in the roof. She barricaded the entrance with a rusted filing cabinet, then finally looked down at the bundle in her arms. Peeling back the plastic fully revealed a newborn, maybe hours old. The umbilical cord hung ragged and uncut. A boy. His lips had a faint blue tinge, his breathing alarmingly slow. Then she saw them. Needle marks. Tiny punctures along his inner arm. This wasn't just abandonment. This was something much, much worse. Outside, tires screeched to a stop. Doors slammed. Voices shouted. She crouched low, cradling the baby against her chest as footsteps crunched toward the building. They'd run out of time. The doorknob rattled. A boot kicked the wood. And then, a sound that froze her blood. Not the door breaking down. Not a shouted threat. But the unmistakable click of a round being chambered in a shotgun. Right outside. The shotgun blast tore through the door like it was made of paper, spraying splinters across the dusty floor. She curled her body around the baby instinctively, feeling the heat of the second blast pass just overhead. "Last chance," a man's voice shouted through the ruined door. "Hand over the package and walk away." The baby's weak whimpers were barely audible over the ringing in her ears. She pressed a finger to his tiny wrist. The pulse fluttered like a trapped bird. Too slow. Too faint. Whatever they'd injected him with was winning. A shadow moved across the boarded-up windows. They were surrounding the building. Her eyes darted around the abandoned station, rusted equipment, broken furniture, a decade's worth of cobwebs. Then she saw it. A trapdoor behind the collapsed reception desk, nearly invisible under layers of grime. Another shotgun blast shattered what remained of the door's lock. She moved fast, keeping low. The trapdoor groaned as she yanked it open, revealing inky blackness below. No time to hesitate. Cool air rushed up as she descended backwards down the ladder, the baby clutched tight against her chest with one arm. Her boot had just left the last rung when the front door exploded inward. The trapdoor slipped from her fingers, slamming shut with a bang that echoed through the darkness. Total blackness now. The baby's shallow breaths against her neck were the only proof she wasn't completely alone. Then, a flicker of light. Not from above. From ahead. A faint blue glow pulsed in the distance, like faulty emergency lighting. She inched forward, her free hand brushing against damp concrete walls. The air smelled of mildew and something sharper, chemical, medicinal. The glow grew brighter as the tunnel curved. The baby stirred weakly in her arms as they rounded the bend. And suddenly she understood. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber, the walls lined with hospital-grade equipment. 4 stands. Monitoring machines. A stainless steel table stained with dark splotches. But it was the cribs that stopped her cold. Dozens of them. All empty. All waiting. A sudden noise made her spin. Footsteps on the ladder above. They'd found the trapdoor. The blue glow came from a computer monitor left running on a desk nearby. She lunged for it, the baby's weight pulling at her tired arms. The screen showed security camera feeds, the woods, the ranger station, the tunnel entrance. And something else. A live feed time-stamped today. A hospital room. A woman strapped to a bed, screaming soundlessly at the camera. The baby gave a sudden weak cry, as if sensing something she couldn't. The footsteps grew closer. Her eyes darted to the other feeds. One showed the black SUV parked outside. Another revealed 3 armed men descending the ladder. But the last feed showed daylight. A back exit. Hope flared for just a second before the baby went frighteningly still in her arms. His tiny chest barely moved now. She pressed 2 fingers to his neck. The pulse was there, but fading fast. On the desk beside the monitor sat a tray of medical supplies. Syringes. Vials. And one labeled naloxone. She knew that name. Opioid antidote. Without thinking, she grabbed a preloaded syringe and jabbed it into the baby's thigh. His whole body jerked, then went terrifyingly limp. 3 heart-stopping seconds. Nothing. Then, a gasp. The baby's chest rose sharply, his eyes flying open as color flooded back into his blue-tinged lips. His wail cut through the underground chamber like a siren. The footsteps broke into a run. She clutched the revived baby to her chest and sprinted toward the exit feed, following the tunnel's curve as it sloped upward. The baby's cries echoed off the walls, a beacon for their pursuers. A metal door appeared ahead, rusted but intact. She slammed her shoulder into it once, twice. It burst open into blinding daylight. Forest surrounded them on all sides, but she could hear running water nearby, a stream, maybe a river. The baby's cries turned frantic as she stumbled down the overgrown path. Not pain now. Hunger. Fear. The primal need of something so new to the world it shouldn't yet know terror. Behind them, the metal door crashed open again. Shouted orders cut through the trees. Closer now. Too close. The river appeared suddenly, wide, fast-moving, impossibly loud. No bridge in sight. The baby's tiny fingers gripped her jacket with surprising strength as she scanned the banks. No boats. No help. Then she saw it. A flash of gray on the opposite shore. The wolf stood watching them, water swirling around its legs. As their eyes met, it turned and vanished into the trees, but not before casting a deliberate look upstream. A fallen oak formed a natural bridge across the raging current. The first gunshot splintered the tree trunk next to her head. She ran for the log bridge, the baby tucked tight against her. The wood groaned under her weight, slick with spray from the churning water below. Halfway across, a bullet tore through her sleeve, missing flesh by millimeters. The baby screamed. She risked a glance back. 3 men at the riverbank, one reloading, another taking careful aim. The final gunshot never came. A snarl ripped through the air as the wolf launched from the undergrowth, taking down the shooter in a flurry of teeth and fur. The other 2 men whirled toward the attack, giving her those precious seconds she needed. She reached the far bank as chaos erupted behind her. No time to watch. No time to think. Just run. The baby's cries guided her like a homing beacon as she crashed through the underbrush. His tiny fists beat against her chest, alive, furious, fighting with everything he had. The trees thinned suddenly, revealing a 2-lane highway. A gas station. Civilization. Her legs gave out just as a trucker stepped out of the convenience store, his eyes widening at the bloodied woman clutching a newborn. "Call 911, she gasped, pressing the baby into his startled arms. "And the police. Tell them." A howl cut through the trees behind her. Not pain. Not anger. A warning. She turned just in time to see the black SUV skid to a stop across the highway. Doors flew open. And this time they weren't holding shotguns. The baby wailed as the first rifle scope glinted in the afternoon sun.